because you can't hear others. I will repeat the question if required so that everybody can hear the question and the answers. Clear? Okay, Shweta is there. Who else is there like Shweta? Can I ask somebody else also whether it's clear for them?
Manju.
Who's Manju?
Manju is DC Life Buses.
Manju, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay, TNP, can you guys hear us? No. You're on mute. TN Palam, you're on mute. Shweta, you can hear us, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, TN Palam is saying yes, sir. So they will not speak, but they will say chat. Okay, fair enough. So the arrangement is clear. So anybody can ask question. I will repeat the question so that question can be heard for everyone. Then I will give you the answer. I'm sure you guys can hear my voice. If there is any follow-up, we'll repeat the same process. Okay. So we are going to get started now with the Chennai team. Yes, you guys have to now prove yourself that you can ask questions. Okay. So this session is just to have a chat. Anything which you will have seen a couple of my mails in the last 2-3 weeks. And we also announced DTRAC. A lot of changes is happening in the organization. A lot of changes are happening on our client side, economy, everywhere. So anything which is in your mind right now, you want to raise a question, I'm more than happy to answer, clarify. That's the thought process. And it's happening only because I'm in Chennai, not because we like Chennai team. It happened in Chennai, so I thought I'll at least have a chat with you guys. And if people are listening, then I'll be more than happy to do it. And if I go to any of our center, we're going to do that again, not an issue. Clear? So we have a Countify team, we have QN Cloud team, and we have original Desicrew team also here. Correct? Okay. Let's get started. Anybody wants to go first?
Last week we were talking about new office and also. So
sorry?
New office for Chennai team.
New office for Chennai team. Okay. So you want to go to a new office? Okay, the question, if anybody, if all of us heard that, Sudhakar is asking, when are we going to move to new office in Chennai? Right? Larger space. Okay, so that's the requirement. Space is not a comfortable thing right now. We need a bigger office. Okay. So the answer is, I really don't know what is our strength in Chennai team right now, including all the members, not just QN Cloud, Countify, and all of that. See, when we came to this office, the thought process was that many of our work, what we are doing as a work, will not happen from Chennai office. In the sense, QN Cloud or Countify or Desicrew, any of thing will happen only in our centers. That's why we always look for a smallest office. Even the one which we had before was smaller than even this, because we had only 7 or 8 people at that time, right? But now, of course, we are expanding. By design, QN Cloud is also expanding. Chennai team is becoming more. So we certainly need to look at this issue. The challenge here is, in all our other centers, right? Whenever you have more people coming in, what they'll do is they'll go for a shift system, because any BPO will run always on the shift system. So they will go night shift, evening shift, morning shift, general shift, whatever shift it is there. So the space can be effectively utilized. Unfortunately, in Chennai, I don't think we can adopt that model. I don't think, because it's not production. So all of you guys are, though some of you might be doing in production, but we cannot shift into a shift system for everybody here. So then the next option is we need to figure out, especially right now we are looking at a work from home model. The other model to look at is the day-wise shift system, like we are probably already doing it, right? Countify will come on a particular day, you guys will come another day. That's one way to share office space, because that now is becoming common everywhere, not just in India. Many people are doing this seat sharing or a day sharing model. If you are really hard pressed about the space, immediately that can be planned and implemented without anybody's permission. You don't have to ask me also. Chennai team can sit together and figure out who wants to come when. I think obviously your capacity will become 1/3 or something straight away. So I don't know what is our headcount right now, totally in Chennai? 20. She's saying 32.
All put together, Chennai strength is 32. The regular commons are 20.
No. when you say, for example, you put Aman, you put Saurav and all in Chennai team, that is not. No. That's not what I meant. See, they are not coming and working here every day, right? They are like me, visitors coming and going. They don't count that. I'm sorry. They are talking about space. 20. So 20 means what? At any point in time, I think this office can take about 10 people easily, comfortably. Then that's the answer, Sudhakar. So why do you need a bigger office? Sorry? No. See, if I remember correctly, when we decided on this space, this is supposed to be for 20 people. I don't know, you can really count the seats or whatever, and we can also use that room. That room is not really a individual's room. You can easily put 5 people inside, right? So even if you look at it, correct me if I'm wrong, Tanigay or Ram, check pannunga. I thought we had about 20 seats was the plan originally here, right? So if you want to go back to that model, I think we should definitely be able to do it. Because here, unlike our centers, we don't have partitions, we don't have really that seat kind of dimension. So we need the space. If you're going to work from 4, like this, see if you can see, 3 or 4 people can comfortably sit here in one row, right? That way you should be able to even accommodate all 20. But that's not going to happen unless Q and Cloud itself is becoming 20, that I don't know. But if you look at our total strength, if it's 20, definitely not everybody is going to land up 5 days or 6 days a week. You ask anybody how many people are willing to do that, I will be very happy to solve that problem, but I don't think that's going to happen, right? So my quick suggestion is, let's look at day-wise schedule. Even if you say alternate day or first 2 days, 3 days, including Saturdays, we can have rotation. I think that will solve your space problem immediately. And don't restrict yourself to this space. That is also open. I don't think anybody is occupying it on a permanent basis. If you have a call, if you have a meeting like this, then we can obviously have to have some kind of a rearrangement. But otherwise, that is also open. Since we are all working on in laptops and we are working on Wi-Fi, that can also be occupied, right? And then if you're really expanding in terms of number of people getting added, right, then I think we should definitely look at a bigger office. The other angle also is that within the research park, right, if you look at the neighboring offices and everything, you will not get an incremental steps. For example, today if I say this is 20 seats, you will not get a 30-seater. You will have to probably get a 50 or a 100. That's how this design is done. So that will be another challenge for us. So you can't just go into 100-seater and then sit in one corner with 15 people. So for us, either we'll have to jump into a much larger office, or we'll have to do some kind of shift arrangements to sustain this. Or when we are ready to move that part, like for example, if any other, we've done this, we've talked about it. If you're able to do a large pilot or client saying some process I wanted to see happening in Chennai or in your office, then we have to hire 30-40 seats for that production. Then probably we'll have to shift to a larger seat, it's a 100-seater. Part of that will be our office, part of it will be a production floor. See, right now the number of production people, either in Aquantify or Q&A Cloud together also, on their own, they're not occupying a large number of seats. So then obviously we need to have a sort of current solution as long as we can push it. The moment it's becoming a unbearable solution, we can look at options. But with your number, if Tanigay's number is right, 20 people, then the best thing is to do is shift into an alternate day system. I think it'll solve all our problems. Then we'll have to look at for a bigger office and we'll have to look at, but like only saying is use that also. That I think that easily take 4 people minimum. So, clear? Okay. So 3-4 people, more people have come. Okay, good. I don't know. Yes, somebody's asking a question.
Yeah. Shweta here, sir.
Yes, Shweta.
Yeah. Actually, I have to drop off in another 5-10 minutes, so I'll just put my question and probably I'll drop off. Actually, this is regarding the work from office, sir. I mean, I see many complaints, especially from the Kapu side, that they have been facing frequent internet issues. So they are saying that sometimes they are not able to download the application. I mean, and even the client calls also, they are having a lot of disturbances with respect to the connectivity. So what do we do, sir? I mean, in such case, because right now our team, they are coming once a week, But slowly we want to increase the frequency also. But this internet has become a big hurdle now.
So I really don't know why it has to wait for the AMA session, Shweta. We have almost all offices are working full-fledged right now, right?
Yeah.
Internet issues will be quite common, either interruptions or bandwidth requirement, etc., etc. We already have teams working on it. So why are you guys not asking the internet team to increase the bandwidth? What is the challenge?
No idea, sir. Because last time Mani was telling, even in Kolu also the team they had an issue, and at that time he requested the IT team, and I think they have added these people's IP address and all, and then it worked fine. Something he was telling, but so I am asking this question now because my assumption is that probably all the centers might be having some issue, something like this. Because I don't know how it is working for the other teams, but from our team, I keep hearing that they have connectivity issues and all. And sometimes they send the internet speed and they say that it is very less and all. So I don't know how it is with the other teams right now.
No, it's very simple, Shweta. There is no constraint from our side on any center. We want, like I've been saying, we want more people to come to work and work from office. The only issue is that in production place, if everybody wants to do a general shift, it will definitely put strain on the number of systems and things we have. But bandwidth should never be an issue because I know there is a client process we are talking about right now in TN Palayam. They're talking about 20 to 30 Mbps per user. So I don't think bandwidth can never be an issue. Space could be an issue. But I expect you to talk to the respective center teams, ID teams, and whoever is allocating the space, and talk to them and understand and solve it. I don't see any issue that cannot be solved in this.
Yes.
Because nobody said no to increasing in bandwidth, for example.
Okay.
If bandwidth has to be increased, if that is a solution which we can propose, let's say for copper or anything, that can be done.
Okay.
So that between you, Prashant, Saurav, we should be able to sort it out.
Right. Yeah.
Earlier, there was a comment about centers not working full. So I'm sure one of the lines would have been given up or some cost optimization would have been done. I'm talking about 3-4 months back. But now, almost every center, we are working full. So we want people to come. So there cannot be constraint from the bandwidth angle. Space, I really can't visualize a particular solution because it really depends on the number of general shift processes we are running versus night shift versus work from home model. Right? That can be sorted out. But bandwidth should not be the issue at all. So, like I said, individual centers, there is no ban, there is no restriction, there is nothing from our side which is putting a constraint on them. There is no budget constraint as well. So, we need to work with them and solve the issues, whatever it is. If there are constraints beyond that, we need to, then we can discuss again.
Yeah, sure, sir. We'll get it sorted.
Somebody, I hope, is taking some notes. Tanige, whatever issue we are raising today, because I also want to follow up and ensure that it's otherwise Shweta will wait for the next AMA session and ask the same question, which I don't want to happen. So we'll note down all the points, whatever is coming and answers getting given here, we'll follow up and ensure that it's done.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
So what you said is there for Kollu and Kapu, you said.
Yeah, especially from Kapu. That's what I heard. Kollu earlier there was a problem, but now it's been resolved probably. There's no complaints.
No problem. See, in my view, I don't think there's any difference between any of these centers at this point in time. From an organizational point of view or any budgets, right? Individual issues, like any other thing, will always be there, some specific difference between centers, but we will sort it out. Let me show.
Yeah, sure, sir. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, next. Yes.
Yeah, I want to talk about the dream team that you're using.
Sure, Jay.
So I'm having continuous calls with Ashwin, so we're discussing the dream team.
Where is Ashwin? Okay. Yeah, fair enough. It's okay. Yeah, go ahead.
We had multiple calls, and then so we are trying to understand what the one for the one. So, but one thing that I am very clear about is that so within the team that we have, it might not be possible to give service to every all the units. So that I raised the question to Ashwin that we might need another support. more support, maybe more people to do that. So Ashwin said that yes, we can do that, but not in a very immediate manner. So maybe we'll have to wait for some more months to do that. But in that time, maybe what if that will affect the service and what we are planning to achieve or give it to the other units? So will that be okay, or like, so what is the plan? So if in case we are in the definite state that we definitely need more bandwidth to give better support or something, so will it be given additional support?
Okay, I understood the question. See, okay, the question which Jay is raising for benefit of everyone listening. So we've announced a dream team which will cater to all the business units and all their marketing needs, social media, digital marketing, all of that put together, right? So his question is that you suddenly almost increased our scope by 5 times or 6 times, but it's the same number of team members, same capacity which exists. So either we have to increase the team size or our service levels, what you're promising to different business unit might suffer, right? Now, this is the dilemma, right? So I think it's a very valid question. Now, I'm happy that you even raised this issue because definitely the idea is not to say that we need to do more with a given budget. That is not the origin of this was that we have multiple units, right? QN Cloud has started little ahead and you guys also ran very well. So you pretty much ahead in the race compared to all the other units, right? That is not in terms of number of team members or units. Even if we had same members in other team also, we may not have reached the same level of output or proficiency. So the idea here is to leverage this skill and the talent which you guys have done and to see how to expand to the other things, right? Now, the question is that whether this capacity is enough, like have we really sized the team size with the requirements or not? The answer is, I don't know. Nobody knows actually, because this is what you guys just have to figure it out. So, for example, you already published something for QN Cloud calendar. You know what needs to be done, what goes on Monday, what is February, what is April. I think you guys have a fairly good idea, right? But we don't have similar plan for all the units. I don't expect that to happen in 5 days also. I'll be very happy if you are able to even get to that level in a quarter time. Not because of you guys, because the other units have not been thinking like this. Even now, after I sent a mail, I don't think anybody is already thinking like Dream Team is my team. It's going to take some time on the other side to respond. So the first thing we need to do is to assess the demand which is coming in, right? In terms of your team, it could be number of, let's say, presentations or number of blogs or number of posts which we need to do. All that, these are your units, right? This is your production, how you will measure your team also, right? So once you sit with everybody, for example, Saurav and Prashant and Pritesh and Ashwant and everybody, once you guys have understood everything, including the US team, right? So I'm sure everybody, they'll start talking about the requirements, but they may not be able to articulate directly into production terms, right? So if we do that one round, and then you assess your capacities, and then put on your schedule, what is possible when, right? The issue will come when somebody else comes and says, no, this is not acceptable. You're putting my thing in July, but I want it in May. That's when the conflict will start, right? I don't think we have reached that stage yet. You correct me if I'm wrong, right? In fact, if you ask me frankly, people will say, July, okay. So that is more likely a scenario, but I'm not justifying that because I'm going to put pressure on them on the other side, saying that, hey, I've given you a dream team, what have you done for this quarter? So they are going to come to you in any case, right? But a right way to do that is to get this demand clearly, then assess your capacities. So wherever we are right now, is it 10% extra, 20% extra, or is it 125% extra? I think once you guys are clear on that, you can definitely talk to Ashwant also. That's when we need to realize either we need to do the pacing correctly, because nobody is putting us pressure right now to do everything in June, right? Except for thing which you already committed for QN Cloud. That's what I also told Saurav also. We are not going to disturb the calendar which is already published. Whatever it is, that's a priority, just committed by this team, right? You not yet made the commitment for the other team. So fair enough. So you make your new commitments after fulfilling what you're currently, like same thing, right? If my client is coming and asking me to add people, obviously I'll do the first existing servicing, then only add the new business. Same logic will work for you also. In the process, we find something which is coming up, which requires new skill, which is not in the team right now. right? We need to go ahead and get from the market. I think we should not be hesitating to do that at all. But then how will we deliver? So there is no fixed formula either in terms of number of team members or the schedule. And it's too early, like but it's a month, right? We started. So I think it'll take some more time for you guys, at least 1 or 2 rounds of discussion with all the business units so that you are clear, they are clear, what is possible. Right now, what is happening in my view is they're all discovering what is being done. That itself is not well known to a lot of people, right? Then the next stage will be to convert that into my requirement. So I'm Accountify. So I'm seeing this for, say, one newsletter is happening for QN Cloud. Why can't I have one more thing for me? That's how the thought process will start. But it's not that simple. The newsletter is going out because there is somebody who's creating content, somebody is doing design and executing. Now in the, if Accountify, if I don't even have anybody to write content, then suddenly you cannot say newsletter will have to go on May 1st. It doesn't make sense. And this content creation, we are not expecting the dream team to do like a magic, right? It has to come from the respective businesses. Till that happens, your production will not start at all. You can learn, you can improve your understanding, which is what we also want your team to do, because you guys have invested time and understood QN Cloud very well. So at least 5-10% of that you should now divert into each unit. But in terms of converting into a production, number of newsletters, number of blogs, number of whatever it is, I don't see that happening even full entire quarter. I can challenge everybody in the organization because it's not easy for people to also change like that. A lot of gap is there in terms of their understanding. And then 2, we need to also look at what is possible. Because if your website itself is having some 5 visitors today, suddenly you can't jump into step 11. I think you guys can guide them much better there. So it's possible for you to direct the path in which each one has to take, irrespective of their current starting points. That will also give you an opportunity to pace yourself up. So that no point in time anybody is going to get an unreasonable demand in terms of timeline, right? The expectation from my side and from everybody's side is that the capacity which you have created should now get a little bit enlarged, which means you need to absorb more in terms of the content, right? Not in terms of either time or output. If we reach that kind of a constraint, then we will solve it. And like I said earlier, even during this process, if you are now looking at a specific resource, the skill which is not present today within the system, then obviously you need to go for it. Like we spoke in the morning, right? The video thing. 2 years back, nobody even heard. Even now, I don't think anybody in this group even knows what this means. But we've now seen the output. So if I want 100 videos like this, obviously I know it has to be added and we have to look for another resource, etc. So that will be a continuous process like any other business unit we have. HR team has done it. The production guys do it all the time, depending on what skills are there. In anticipation of new demand also, they're bringing people. We are training them in detach. So the resource for a particular team is a continuous process. As of now, there is no ban on resource at all. The justification for that additional skill, is it volume or is it skill? That call you guys have to take, depending on what you need to deliver. Okay. Clear? Good. I don't know how many of you heard that, but I'm sure you have heard my voice at least. Okay, next. Any other questions? A lot of people have now joined.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Just a common question.
Yeah.
So just the basic product we have at this company. So how, in terms of branding, so how we are going to promote ourselves? Well, so far we haven't done it. So we are not planning to do the branding. So our main motto is to help poor people to get job opportunities and everything. So, but now we are such company that we reach such level and we are $1 million company. But so are we going to still promote ourselves as a rule-based company, something like that? Or are we going to promote it now that we are going to targeting international markets as well? So what's going to be our idea? How we can go about it? If there's anything you have in your mind, that you can share.
Okay. The question Jay is raising is a general one, nothing to do with the dream team, but it's sort of related to what they're doing. So his question is, what is the brand positioning for Desi Group? That's the question, because till now we were doing, let's say, QN Cloud. QN Cloud is very clear. They're not talking about rural jobs. They're not talking about anything else. They're only talking about software testing and for startups. So they had a market definition and they were working and creating a brand with respect to all of that. Now we've added a couple of more brands to the same kitty. Now, in addition to that, there's also a parent company called Desikru. And what about Desikru's branding itself? And Desikru's mission is to create jobs in rural India. But is that also a brand statement? Are we going to tell the market the same way? What are the thoughts? This is the question, right?
One more thing I want to add. Like, so is basically to have an idea to become like a parent company, like basically a group of companies under that there are. So is that going to happen, or like all the companies going to stay as an individual entities? So now, basically, when I say basically, others does not know that other companies are part of this thing. So now they no one ever like mentioned about the basically, like yeah, maybe in the website somewhere, maybe in logo somewhere, but mostly it does not get noticed. So is there a plan to like bring everything together to mention it as okay, one group of companies?
Okay, so the related question is that is Desikru going to become an umbrella brand under which you will have individual brands like QN Cloud, Accountify and all of that, or will Desikru always remain in the back? As in, it will need not be visible to the customer, but the services will be visible, right? So is Desikru going to come as a new brand to be promoted by the dream team is probably the larger question, right? So I think we'll have to look at the evolution of the organization to answer this question, right? But the short question is, the QN Cloud, Accountify, Disha, all the initiatives what we are doing right now, these are all initiatives. They're not separate companies, right? For market purpose, we have taken a deliberate decision to promote them as a distinct brand by itself. That's why QN Cloud is on. So you could have always said, Desikru is giving software testing, right? We didn't want to do that. The reason is, we wanted to cater to that particular market segment. So we didn't want to bring Desikru or the Rural Connect into that client who's making a decision. Let's say you're Belgium guy or anybody sitting outside India who's a startup company. They need only 2 people to help them in their software testing process. He is not even thinking about Desikru or rural India or job creation as his thought process when he makes the decision. He's looking at whether these guys can deliver my testing requirement. Do they have the capability? And can they deliver? Are they credible enough? And of course, pricing, commercial thing comes in. That's how he's making the decision. He probably makes a decision within a month or 2. So that is why in this kind of a context, there's no point in bringing all the stories because the decision which he's making is not relevant to this. If you look at our clients before QN Cloud, Infosys, HDFC, all these guys, when they're talking about 100 plus kind of people, they want to ensure who we are, where we are located, are we able to deliver them their service, are we having enough capacities, all of that is part of the due diligence. So then it matters who I am. And of course, commercial angle is also there. If I'm locating in rural India, then naturally expect a discount compared to somebody sitting in Chennai or Bangalore. So that client profile, Desikru name was relevant, right? For QN Cloud market, it's not relevant. That's why we said, okay, we will take the QN Cloud as a brand and promote it. So that is the Accountify logic. That's how Disha, all of them. Right now, we're talking about market-based positioning for our service offerings, right? That is what the journey is. I think that will continue for some more time. Now, whether Desikru can come in now as an umbrella brand, saying that all of this I'm doing 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of thing, we are not in a hurry to do that unless market is going to be looking for it, which is very, very improbable because the markets are very different. For example, look at Accountify clientele versus Disha or Accountify itself. There's no common element. Okay, somebody might be US might be a common element. That way, Desikru had US client 10 years back also. So market commonality is not the issue. Whether the brand perception or the customer expectations is going to derive something from our name, right? Right now, I don't think we are in that position yet. But whether we will remain like this, whether Desikru will always be at the back end, the answer is no. The reason is, see, today we have businesses in US also. We started office now. So now there's going to be a more and more integration from the service offering between Indian business and the US business. Right now, it's probably about 70-30 or 80-20 kind of a thing. So we expect that to increase in the future to 50-50 and even beyond. Okay. So why are we saying that? Because if you know, I'm sure you would have already seen some of our work, right? Today we are delivering the work to customers in India. If I deliver the same work to outside India, actually I get paid much more, right? The incremental cost is there. Definitely some additional things will be there, but the benefits outweigh the cost. 10 years back, if I had said the same thing, market wouldn't have believed. So we needed the time, we needed the credibility, and we needed the customer list to convince today a customer to come on board. So today it's much easier for me, even though we didn't even have a presence in US. So with the presence in US, we only expect this to increase. So as a business plan, what we are attempting to do right now is, we want more and more US customers or outside India customers to come in. So when the tipping point is beyond a certain range, now then there will be a need to promote Desiccrew as a brand. Today we are still talking about distinct services. So in my view, if you ask me next couple of years, I don't think we're going to change the brand positioning because it will confuse the market. They'll not understand if I suddenly say Desiccrew. And so it's going to, the first part of your question, whether Desiccrew is going to become an umbrella brand, it's going to be not in the near future, right? The other part of the question, if at all when we are promoting, how much is our rural story relevant? How much is our job creation, our mission to be communicated to the market? I think that's a bigger question because, again, when you look at any brand which you know, you will always associate with them either with their customer profile or their offerings. Nike shoes, any brand which is there, even in service like banking, whatever thing. Many people will not relate how much of the social thing is happening through that model or whether they are really directly relevant to one particular segment. Because there are a lot of companies who say that we employ only women folks, we give jobs to disabled people. And I know how much of you guys know in Tamil Nadu itself, there is a brand that Achi, right? So you would, if you're looking from a branding perspective, look at that very carefully. How much are they using in their brand communication about what they are currently doing versus what the end customer is perceiving the Achi as, right? Or even better example in service industry, Zoho. Zoho is now 25 years old. It's only now you would have heard rural. 5 years back, you wouldn't have associated with that. So this is a deliberate strategy the companies have adopted because what they've done is, see, I need to have a foothold in the market. That can happen only from services. The strength of your offerings, brands, QN Cloud, things like that, right? Once you reach a certain critical stage, then you can bring in what your purpose, mission, what you want to do, etc., into the branding. So then the customers will not get mixed up. Today, Zoho customers will not get disturbed by the rural India story. Right? Today, if I bring the entire rural India story into my customers, we're not sure everybody is going to be buying it at this point in time. So it needs a certain critical size. In my view, today, if you see Zoho revenue is $1 billion, right? At that stage, such a deliberate call. And also Zoho is a closely held company. They've not taken money from investors and all of, so they can take pretty much, I'm sure founder has taken a decision saying that, but even if some customers walk out, I don't care. This is what I'm doing. I'm proud to say that. So it's a call we need to take when we really grow into that size. In our private conversations, when we talk to the customers, we realize that there is a soft corner in everybody's mind on the other side. So people like you are sitting on the other side, let's say. You may not make decisions because Desiccrew is creating rural jobs, right? But when you get to know at some point in time in your journey with us, they definitely are pleasantly surprised. The way to do is, we have started doing it, again, you completely dropped. If somebody from Zomato team is there, they can add to this. We used to do a newsletter, client-based one, and not like the brand which you're saying. So for Zomato, what is happening in Kapu last 1 month? Sort of an activity thing with photographs and this and that. It also includes a lot of activities which you're doing for the team and everything. So that goes as a communication to the Zomato team only. It's not for public, right? Idea there was to communicate what their team, because at the time we used to have about 150, 200 people in Zomato. So how these 200 people are engaged, what kind of activities they're doing, and how the impact has been created. All of that has been communicated to them. And we used to do it, I think, every alternate month or things like that. It's almost ran for a year. It was extremely well received. because that came after the service thing was. By the time we were working with Zomato for 4 years, 3-4 years, right? Very similar to Zoho. So you establish based on your strengths of services, then you communicate what you really mean for. And as long as there is no conflict, people don't perceive the conflict, then it will only add to the brand. This will probably follow the same model. But we are in no hurry. We are not changing our mission based on our customers. Whatever we do, whether it's Q&A Cloud, Accountify, Disha, end of the day, we are still trying to create how to create jobs in the smaller towns. That will remain core. Like even today, you would have heard about Disha's, some of the projects you are doing, which involves at this point in time, only data collection. Soumya is here. So we already gone to 2-3 states. I think with Rajan's team, we're probably stepping into another 4%. By the time mid-year this year, would have probably touched 10 states, right? Now, why are we doing this? Because we are just setting ourselves, we are creating our own grounds. When we were small, it didn't really matter. But today we've come to a decent size. I clearly see a possibility that Desicrew can actually be physically present in all states. But we're doing the groundwork. Whether we want to communicate this as a brand right now, answer is no. But at certain point in time, when the critical size happens, definitely we'll consider. But right now, the focus is on the customers and the markets and what they perceive us about our service quality. I think in the medium term, that's going to be our primary focus. Okay. Okay, next. Okay, let's have some questions from the virtual guys. Anybody wants to ask? This is Chennai. I can see Veena, Janaki, Gangashri, and Manju.
Janaki and Gangashri, Chennai.
Janaki and Gangashri?
Chennai team.
Oh, they're part of Chennai team, but
Yes,
not in Chennai.
yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Anyway, they can also ask questions. Faith also ask questions. Okay, anybody who's joined virtually wants to ask a question?
Yeah, I don't have a question, sir. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I don't have a question, but I'm just sad that we have made the oldest resource of Desicrew stand and everybody else is comfortably sitting.
Ram, sir.
Ram, there's a chair in front of him. What can we do? So, Veena, despite your best effort to create a rift within Chennai team, we are not falling for it. Ram is saying it's his own decision. He doesn't like chairs. He doesn't want to become chief minister. He will stand.
Okay.
Okay. Anybody else on the virtual or go back to Chennai team? Okay, get your questions ready. I'm going to come back to you guys.
Yeah.
Okay, Chennai, anybody else? Any thought? This side. Okay, let's ask from this side. Question, comment, complaint about Ram, anything is welcome. No, it's your turn. Somebody from that side, after that partition only has to speak now. Yeah, you can sing a song if you don't like to ask a question.
So regarding the deep touch, I just have one suggestion as to that. So deep touch, so lately I've just noticed that people are more than their interest. Actually, they feel like sometimes they're just compelled to join the course. So I just felt it, and I'm not sure if others feel the same.
No, everybody feels the same.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking that why not, instead of having for all the 4 quarters, so why not we give them an option? Instead of 4 quarters, maybe 2 quarters they can join any course. Other 2 quarters maybe they can leave. So can we think of that option? It's just that something that, because I felt maybe we can think of.
No. It's a very valid question. I'll answer, but first I have one question from this side. We're not forgetting you guys.
We'll come back.
That I should say, you guys cannot see yourself, you'll come back. No, we are parking his question. His question is valid. Probably a lot of people will resonate with that question. And I have an answer also, but I want to listen to you guys first.
Manisa, this is Sindhuja.
Yes, Sindhu.
Okay, so we already know what is happening in the world, the recession and stuff like that. So at this point, how are you going to guide Desicrew for the next 1 year? I mean, are we going to see any huge changes when it comes to the operations or anything?
Okay, this is also a good question, Sindhu. I think one which is relevant to all of us right now. But I'm going to park this question also because we're waiting for one team eagerly waiting to ask their question. So I already parked two questions, one on DTESH, one on the FY24 uncertainties. No, it need not be a question. It can be a comment also. Or anything which you heard till now. You can react from that also. You can get some more. Go ahead. So the question is, Accountify is not happening from our centers right now. So you sorry?
From rural center.
Correct. So centers means for us, Chennai is not a center. I clarified that enough number of times. Okay. No. So this is the fact. What is the question?
So what I think, as for Accountify, it's more like a finance. Do you think
Can we deliver this from our centers?
If we have any future plan on setting this in the center and having deposit, if we get a new client, are we going to set it up there or
Good question. Okay, let me repeat the question, what I heard from Accountify team. So they are feeling little jealous that the rest of the process are happening from the centers. But Accountify, have you guys seen any of our centers? See? Kollu went, okay. But that time we didn't really get to see the production. We met people, but we didn't, So the question is Accountify going to remain like this? Are there any plans to take the Accountify to all centers? That's the question, right? Good question. I think finally they've asked a question which we'll reply and then we'll come to this. See, it's very simple. Like you yourself said, the idea of Desicrew, why is Desicrew different from any other company? Because whatever we do, whatever service we are offering, we do, ultimately it has to create jobs in the areas where we work in. We are not going to work in Chennai and Bangalore. We will create offices, so we don't worry about your job. All of them, we need more skills and professionals. But for every job we add here, probably it has to be 10 times, 20 times, even 100 times in our area. That is the thought of Desicrew, right? Now, Accountify specifically, the reason why we started this idea was, if you look at the processes, I know how many of you know all the process we've been doing in Desicrew for long, right? We started with a very simple data entry. That is, I just need to see a form, type name, mobile number, pin code. This is what the work was. Because at that time, no one ever believed that even this job can be done properly in our centers. Because that's a perception I think some of you will still carry about villages and things like that, right? So from there, we had to fight a long battle to convince customers saying that no, our people are capable of much more than this. And we will beat everybody in the industry with whatever parameters, SLAs you have. That's how Desicrew started, right? It's a long battle, but I don't want to get into the past. But the point is, we didn't start Desicrew for insurance industry. We didn't start for banking. We didn't start to become a telecom expert. Our only mission was to create meaningful career for people in rural areas. And our core belief is that the graduates, educated people there are not different from anybody else in any part of the world, not just urban centers, right? So if these guys can be molded, can be trained to deliver services across the world, why can't we do it same in India? That is the thought process, right? So when we did this, the practical aspect of this, we look at the business side, right? So there are certain businesses which are paid very well. There are certain businesses which are not paid very well. It's there in products also, right? The same product, shoes, for example, you will give a little more money for your branded ones versus the unbranded, quality, etc. Same model works for here also. So when we realize that when we look at the skill sets like the form filling, data entry and all of that, one, they're getting automated. That is happening even 5-10 years back. And two, they're not really creating the kind of financial thing which we wanted to get people. At the end of the day, our salaries, for example, will be determined by how much we are able to sell in the market. So that's when we started thinking that since we have people, can we create even more branded services or higher skill services, which will get higher price in the market, right? That is the thought process. So the first one was QN Cloud. QN Cloud, the whole idea was whether we can do it was a bigger question. But AOL team was already there, they were doing it, so we are confident that can be built on it. So it became a process, and it took a lot of time, but now at least a lot of these guys have joined QN Cloud after it became QN Cloud. But initial days, even some of them wouldn't have even made a decision to come. So it's taking some time to get there, and it's having its own journey. So the Accountify thought was, in BPO, if you see, right, F&A is a big business. I mean, anybody who's understood BPO industry or from BPO industry will know telecom and BFSI segment, right, which is F&A also included, will be probably 50% of the market, worldwide also, right? But we are not present there. So we thought, instead of generally starting a F&A service, we'll also use the technology this time. So that is the thought process of Accountify, accounting plus automation, all that started. But then, if you suddenly take this concept and go to, let's say, Kollu or KN Palayam, we didn't have any clients. And then to create this, train people, get them, it's going to take a lot of time. So we thought that we will now use the Chennai office like a lab. So this is like a lab which we have created. So naturally, the first set of customers, you guys have come in, people who are there in Accountify, all of us have been working to create a viable prototype, whether we can deliver, whether there are customers who are willing to buy the services, and whether it can scale up. Right? So these are the three questions we are trying to answer. So Accountify became a sort of a lab for us. The idea is always how to expand this into our centers. Even QN Cloud for a long time was there only in Kollu. It's only last year, maybe last 2 years, they've now expanded to all centers. Right? So same model for Accountify. Accountify, I'm confident that people, whatever thing we are doing right now, right, it's not possible to do 100% from centers straight away. Right? There could always be a mix, 20-80 or 70-30, because, and it's quite common, even in BPO world, many people do that. You must have heard on-site, off-site kind of a model, near-shoring. So there is some set of people or part of the process which gets delivered either on the client side or on your own center in Bangalore, Chennai, then the rest goes to the next delivery model. So there will be a graded delivery model which will come in. For Accountify specifically, you must be aware of Accenture discussion we're having, right? So when Accenture comes, they're not going to give 3-4 people. They're probably going to start with 50, 100, 200. So naturally, unless Sudhakar must be thinking like that, so we're going to have 200 people in Chennai, so that's why we're going to do a bigger office. The answer is no, because the moment it goes to production, so we absolutely need to look at our centers. So it will go to our centers, but the path in which it's going to take might not be that direct. It might still be a temporary like scenario for even 6 months till we get the SLAs right. Then it will get transition. So if you first question is Accountify going to be remaining like this always? No. When we expand, we will have to have design elements to expand those centers. And how are we going to do it? Actually, to answer his other question, detach. Because otherwise, how would we train people? Today, they are doing some other process. They are doing Hapag-Lloyd, they are doing Infosys, they are doing something else. Suddenly, they're not going to tomorrow morning come and start delivering for Accountify. Right? And client also won't wait. They won't give us more than 2 weeks, 3 weeks to actually go live. So that is why we are saying that whatever we learned has to be disseminated to a larger section. And when a client is going to come, then we have to start preparatory work. We already started preparatory work for Virupuram, for Kapu. So all of that will be. So you guys will then play a critical role in terms of transitioning this to any of the centers. So that is the idea for Accountify. We are not going to remain. This is like a POC, proof of concept. I think now everybody is convinced. In fact, the meeting we had last week, Pritesh was specifically asked, "Boss, when are you going to guys grow?" So that is going to be the path. Only thing, my request to all of you guys is that we cannot do it at the pace at which we have done in the past. Basically, it's taken 15 years to come where we are. QN Cloud has taken them 6-7 years to come here. I think that kind of pace is not there. I don't think market is going to wait for that. So whatever is going to happen, the pace at which it will happen in Accountify is going to be much, much higher. But the core idea is, yes, the bulk of the work will have to go to our centers. Whether it's Kollu, Kapu, or some new center in Hyderabad, client is asking, can you guys come down to North India? There are multiple options. Right? Clear? Good. So they're very happy. One question quota is over.
If I have,
You have another question?
no.
Yeah, please. Okay. Thanks. Okay, let's come back to okay, Sindhu. Can you hear me, Sindhu?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you'll have to wait because Jay asked a question before that, so I'll finish that and come to you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. So Jay's question is why are you making life difficult for everybody in Desi Group? Why are you saying that detach is there? It's mandatory for everyone. People have to learn skills whether they like it or not. And can we have a academic situation where there's a summer holiday, winter holiday, then one course, one term? That's largely the question, right? No, I think, see, the first part of the answer is very easy. You also heard me talk about Accountify, right? There is no choice. The market is not giving anyone choice today, not for Desi Group. You go to any organization, manufacturing, services, banking, technology even worse, right? Today, the choice for sticking to one job or one skill is non-existent because the pace at which things are changing around, even though the organization may not be forcing you to do, but you will have to do it at side to improve yourself. That is the reality today for all of us, right? What we are trying to do it is a systematic way. And the reason I just explained, because service industry works based on the customer's needs, right? So if something gets automated, my entire 100 people job will vanish overnight. I get only 1 month notice, not even 6 months to prepare, right? So when that happens, what happens to our jobs, right? We can't have a free flow. I mean, currently, if you've seen, we're already making a adjustment this year because of one of our client walking away with 250 people output. At our size is very difficult to manage. So if we don't have to manage all of this, we should have people who can switch easily. Which means the difficult part is how to prepare yourself for that. Right? Whether it's an option, the answer is no. I don't think anybody has an option not to learn. You may not like detach, you may not like the course in detach, you may not like the time pressure which is there, but that we can discuss. But option of not learning doesn't exist for any of us. Now, coming back to whether we can pace it out, whether we can make it not mandatory or whether we can make it flexible, all of that. Again, if you ask me, we don't have much of a choice. I'll give you an example from our current experience this month. This month in March, right? When Swiggy walked away, we had 250 people in the same process, right? Now, we were trying to argue with the customers to extend, they've extended something, some people are still there, something is still happening there. But in meanwhile, we got a new process, right? Which was about 30 people. So we thought, okay, 30 is a good, because it's a new client process and some of the people can be shifted here. And they're also happy, we are also happy, everybody's happy. But when we did the screening, right, out of this 210 plus people, we could get only 10 people who were good enough for the new process. It is not that you need to learn some technology to go there. It is also same in service industry. It's a little bit more knowledgeable because some part of English was involved, right? But it was there in detach in many other form. It's not, it's like a chat service, right? But yet, when we had to look at the screening, that is the number. So now, if we don't want this to happen, or if you want larger number of people to be able to move between services, then it is imperative that people are ready. Now, what is the readiness or how much time, we really don't have a choice. We can only make it mandatory because we don't want anyone to be left out. That is the idea behind making detach mandatory. But how much you want to pick out of it, right? Whether you are just coming there, marking attendance, writing exam and going away, then when the test comes, then you will fail. Then there's no purpose. It doesn't serve any purpose at all. So that's one of the things I'm telling detach team also, right? The quantity is fine because you're forcing people. But the staying power or the quality will come only when they see a value or the course is attractive enough. And that's not easy. Like even in a best college, right? I've studied in IIMs everywhere. It is not that it will be 100% match. Even my engineering college is supposed to be the best in the state. Hardly 10% of the faculty were actually useful. So that will always be there. But the process can be made more useful and enjoyable by the participants. because the detached captain syllabus, whatever we are talking about R&R, can only push maybe 20-30%. The bulk is on the learner side. So, and that's why we said we give the freedom to choose. If a lot of people want to add one more course to the detached, we are open. But the process of learning, not making it mandatory, is going to counter backfire on us. It's going to be really, really difficult for people. People don't realize that switching value. This is a very painful process in the month. We have to really see thing. I don't know how many of people have understood this, but I don't think we've talked about it openly also. Maybe I want detached team to talk about this also, because this is a reality. Because some people had to leave the organization, not because they're bad in their work, right? Only because they're not able to switch to another opportunity which the customer is willing to give. So there is a job, but you are not there. Now, this is the worst thing that can happen to anybody, right? If center is not doing well, Desicrew is not doing well, it's a different issue. But yes, there was some mishap happened. But then this equal opportunity team is able to put in front of you. But if you're not able to do that, this 10 versus 200 is clearly a gap. And if you don't want that to happen in the future, then we have to be obviously be skilled with the 1, 2, 3 also. And that's a choice today. And whether we go out of Desicrew also the same scenario. I don't think it's very different. People may not force you, but there might be an illusion that it's lasting for long. But if today, look at what's happening in the tech industry. Tell me some guy who was not laying off people. And it is not because their performance suddenly become bad. Market demand changes have happened, and if when that decisions are taken, you look at people who are actually out of the system will be people with least number of skills. So today it's a reality, but at the same time the options have increased. You don't have to go for an expensive college degree. You don't have to take a break from your work schedule and go and join a college, MBA college, all of that. All that is not required. See, everything is right now available in front of you. People have to wake up. People have to strive hard. The counter thing is a skilled person, right, will never be out of demand. Desicrew might not have requirement for them because Wiki worked out, but then there will be 15 other people who will be willing to take. I read this, I think you must have seen this interview also. Losing employment is not a problem. Losing employability is a problem. That is the key. Because today's scenario is reality. Is you guys are young, you will face this much more than what we have faced earlier. Job changes, layoffs, new jobs, switching jobs is going to be very common in your career. 20 years back, that was not the case, right? But we have to adapt to it. The only way is, so don't look at employment alone, look at employability at an individual level. If we are aware of that, I think nothing to stop us. That is the long answer to the small question which she asked.
Because why I asked was that so when we do the class session, we see a very less interest from the people. Like, so they
okay, now this is the revenge. This is what you must have done to your college teachers. Imagine the college teacher, school teacher, all of the teachers' parents who have been telling us for when we were a child. That's the same thing. Now you know how they feel. You have to come and speak here. Yes, then only they can.
No, just adding what you said about the learning. We had this IIT Madras online course that was launched 2 years ago. So we gave an offer to everybody at Desicrew. Desicrew was willing to fund the program. So it was IIT's first ever online program. It was had an opportunity to
speak here.
Okay, so we had the opportunity to do both the data science, your degree, certificate, or even all the way up to as a project also. So we had almost about 7-10 people take up the test. This was all online during COVID. I think one person only finally got through and went, and I somebody who didn't qualify for the test. So the point I want to make is how much time are we taking to take up the test? Like he himself has actually done a course online on digital marketing.
Hey, don't, then they'll ask me questions.
No, he's done, right? Just to again keep...
This is all before you guys joined.
Before you guys joined. Thiru sir has done a course in the MIT on data science, just to equip himself so that he's able to talk to customers, right? So when we push people on data, I'm selling Detouch as a reason for clients to work with us. So I'm telling clients, hey, it's not just we know annotation and we know testing. As an organization, learning and development is an integral part of what everybody does. So it is, I'm using Detouch as a showcase item. Somebody asked me asking questions on DTouch also. Randomly, I put DTouch website and they ask me questions from there as to how many people are taking it up, how is it being relevant, and how do you cross train and all that. So in a way, people are noticing. I'm telling from a sales perspective, but from an individual perspective, I can give you a couple of instances where some of our people have used it effectively on LinkedIn, like you said, for their employability purpose and to secure their job. Because when they came from their reference letters, it gave an indication of what and all they've told as to what they've done here. Right? So that initiative is what I'm, like DTouch, what you said, I'm also a little concerned because I see the attendance being low and stuff. But a lot of it has to, I think, drive from us as showing how important it is. So outside,
also, I think, just to add to what you said, Jay, it is tough being a captain or having an unresponsive classroom is not very encouraging, right? But that's not a reason for us to give up. It only tells us to try alternate methods. And it's not guaranteed to succeed at all because every client, every team, every class will be different. I know here, I'm sure Sindhu is there earlier. I saw Gangashri also. She also was struggling with the same question. So, despite whatever we say, right, despite even if you ask our people, they'll all understand what I'm saying. They'll even support, but they'll not do it. Because knowing is different from doing it. Because I know I've seen a lot of people, Srilekha knows it. When she came in, we launched an English program first. We went to Virupuram, we did everything. So people who said they liked the course, they really benefited. They finished 101, but they didn't join 201. So I think that's a big difference for all of us. Like this exercise, right? All of us know we have to do exercise. How many of us are able to do it every day? Discipline. So there is the element of difficulty in the process itself. So we don't have to really be upset with the people who are not coming, right? We have to strive to make it more interesting. If at all, it can get another 20%, 30%. And then it's a matter of time. People will fall in line. And when we see multiple courses, people getting benefits, other thing which you are not also not done effectively, which the DTouch team also keeps doing. We're not showing a visible difference in their career or monetary terms for people who are succeeding, right? So that is also a thing we already spoke. I think Veena is listening. We should definitely do it this year even more so that another 10% can get added. So it's going to be like 5, 10, 10, 5 like that. It's not going to be 100% ever, right? Because what we thought, if you put too much emphasis on success, somebody will not even start from the race. See, if I have a fair chance, I will start running. But if everybody is running so fast, I have not even started, people will say, okay, why run? I'll just walk. So that's also another psychology which works at our places, right? So it's a multiple thing. The captain's pull, the individual's realization, incentives, and punishment. Well, we can't leave that also. That's the thing. It's not a choice anymore. So it has to be a combination of all these factors. If all of this, if people have, and sometimes it is benefited also. Some of the people who have actually done very well, they've discovered that they can learn new things and they've excelled in certain things. I've seen Udaya joining bots class. She's done 301 and last time also she did.
I mean, like out of 100%, I would say 5 to 10% people really want it. They really want to learn it and they are doing it actually.
Correct.
One more question that I have is that now that, okay, I'm not sure if I can ask this. So you said that incentives actually, it is linked to the variable pay. Like whenever there's this drop going on, I hear that, okay, people, this is, no, you want to increase your variable pay and you have to join it like that. So now that we don't have for this year and all. So what is going to be the push for the people to join it? So before we had that one thing that, the big thing to push them. So now we don't have it. Of course, you told that there's an option. How the business goes, there's an option that they can get it by end of the year. But again, now to make the people join, is there any other plan or like what's going to be? So like I said, it's mandatory.
No, there are 2-3 things. You're mixing up certain things. Okay. The variable pay we talked about is for the performance in the work front, not for learning or DTouch or anything like that. And this is for the last year we talked about, FY23. I didn't say, maybe somebody else asked this question. The year which we are starting now, April, right? Here we have not said, we've said not. It is for the last year, right? Because the difficulties in all, this year is a new year. We are not going to suspend variable pay for anybody. We will continue with what we have. That is one clarification. Second is, even if there is a variation there, DTouch incentive has got nothing to do with this. What I was talking about is, if you have, let's say, 101, 201, 301, if I clear 201, I will be given a DTouch allowance of a fixed amount. which will get added to my salary from the next month the moment I produce my certificate. I might get 0 in my DMAX score. Performance might be 0. It doesn't matter. This allowance will not go away. You understand the difference? See, it is not variable pay which is linked to primarily to your performance on the work given. Whereas what I am talking about promoting detach is giving like when you get transferred from one city to other city, there will be a city allowance which will be added to you. As long as you are in that city, you will continue to have that. Or you go to a new project, there will be a project allowance. As long as you are in that project, that will get paid. When you move back, then it will not be there. Similarly, for all those people who clear with the correct certification in detach, there will be a detach allowance added to their compensation, which will be permanent, which will not go away. No, you didn't know this because our HR has not told anybody and we have not even implemented properly. So these are the things I'm talking about, right? And this has to be implemented, not just money saying and going away. Then nothing will again go into the same thing. So Veena, if you're listening, I think this has to be communicated well enough before even people come onto the course. And unlike the other allowance, this cannot be taken away. So if you have clear 301 and it's giving, let's say, for example, 2,000 rupees allowance, it will stay as part of your compensation, even if your performance dips. So that's the difference between these two. So, but this have to be announced.
As a captain, I think we will be more careful because it's good to know that. So if the company is doing such thing, like this, I think we have to be more careful when selecting the people.
No, I would definitely put this entire onus on HR team and the detach team over here to make this point clear, communicate more, put it in document and implement, start giving to somebody that people will believe. Otherwise things won't happen. But definitely this will happen in detach. And even your variable pay question is for FY23, not for FY24. That will also continue. Okay, Sindhu, can we come to you now?
Mani sir, I don't want to turn this into detach AMA, but I would like to add another question for regarding the detach. As the captains are facing so much of pressure with this, the activities, the assessments, again the activities, again the assessment. So it's like every week thing. And as a captain, I'm not able to spend time on the other course that I'm learning. So is there any, any option for the captain to skip the detach for one version and, concentrate on building the quality of the course and then come back to the learning part? Is there any, incentive like that for the captains? Also, as a captain, we are not getting enough motivation is what I feel, because every time they're giving the best captain or best coordinator thing, depending on the number of people who are in the green zone, not based on the quality of the output that we are getting.
Okay.
So I think that is also something we have to look into, and maybe we have to change that part in the detach.
No, I think it's a good, valid question and comment, Sindhu. The answer is also what you said. So what we will do is we will do a separate AMA session only on detach, because detach is something which is important, and we have not probably spent adequate time from my side also. And I understand now there are a lot of gaps which we perceive, etc. And the difference between quality versus quantity, what should be rewarded, whether it's only a green, and how much we should give, not incentive, more like a concession to the captains in terms of acknowledging their efforts and how much they can be balanced with their other duties. I think all of them are extremely valid. So my request is, Tanigai, let's do a AMA session on detach. Not just AMA, let's do maybe a little bit more brainstorming, because what we need is a design which will go live, which will actually push all of us closer to what we want to do. I think the objective, probably all of us agree. Maybe the method which we are currently adopting and what we are currently implementing needs a lot more things to change, which I think is a very good thing to do. So let's do that. Okay?
Yeah.
We will try and see if we can schedule next week itself, because it's just starting. I don't want to lose time. The more we lose time, then it's going to be going back to the old one. So let's do it very quickly. So I'll request Veena and Tanigai to take stock of what's currently happening in detach and put together suggestions which are coming from multiple people.
Yes.
Other than the fact, then don't make it mandatory. I'm willing to listen to all other suggestions.
Okay.
That's on the detach. And you are Sindhu, the other question about how are we going to manage basic through this difficult year,
Yes, yes.
right? So I know this question had come in my earlier thing also. We can discuss this any number of times, but that's not going to give any comfort to anybody. Right? We're all part of the same market, and we as an organization have to respond to the market realities. While saying that, but I also want you guys to understand what we are currently doing from leadership team and how we are looking at it as an opportunity here. And I mentioned this earlier also, but I'll repeat again. See, we've been growing at almost 30 to 40% in the last 3 years, right? Last year was a little bit of a mismanagement, if I can use the word, and things which didn't go very well for us, which is why we are in this boat right now. But we just met last week in Bangalore, the entire leadership team along with the board members. So the plans, because I can only discuss plans right now, we are in April, so I don't have actual data. Actually, we'll have to make it happen, right? The plan is to grow more. So we would like to grow 50% or more in the current year also. That is FY24 will be 50% more or even more compared to FY23. So there is no doubt on that part. There is no directional change there. We're not saying we'll conserve energy and we'll stay small. No, I think our aggressive growth path is on the track. All the leaders have discussed, they've presented their plans. Board has also acknowledged it. So the growth plan is intact. So that is something which I can definitely share. Now the path to this growth, is it going to be linear? Or do we already have all the answers? Have we lined up our clients? Have we lined up our resources? Are we everybody ready? The answer is mixed. Some of the clients where we have visibility, we already started working. We've got new clients signed up even in the month of March. And as we speak in April, we already gone live with at least 2 or 3 new projects and 2 or 3 new clients also, including one in Q&A Cloud also, 2 in Q&A Cloud actually, 1 pilot and a process. So there are early signs where we will be able to make good the numbers which we have promised to the board, right? Now, if you ask me whether this is a plan which will not change during the year and whether we can comfortably sail through this, I wouldn't say no, but I will have to I'd wait till at least for a quarter. The way I measure myself, and I've also told the leadership team, for me, the April, May, June quarter, currently what we are doing is very important because we have done the headcount optimization. We have lost a few big clients. We've acquired new clients. Some more are in the pipeline. And we also implemented some cost optimization measures across the organization. Now, all of this should mean something. And that should reflect in our Q1 numbers itself, Q1 results itself. Right. And that's the test for us, whether what we have done, what we implemented, whether we're able to stick to it and whether we're able to make things happen. To me, most of the things are already in place. The directional is all right. But I would really wait till the quarter to assess where we are and then make our further plans. But if that gives any comfort to you, like I said, the growth plan is intact. We're not going to put any constraint on ourselves anymore. Unless something like an avalanche happens or the industry turns really bad 3 months down the line, which we can't predict at this stage. I don't think anybody is even predicting those kind of doomsday, even among the analysts, right? The slowdown, banking crisis and war and all of that, I think is there. But I think the overall sentiment is not gone away. And for us, especially Desigroup on a smaller micro level, we are looking at aggressive growth this year also.
Okay.
Okay. And you will hear from me more on this, don't worry. That's one thing I also realize now. We probably need to have more sessions to clarify and discuss things. But I'll be more than happy to do that.
Thanks, sir. Yeah, that answers.
Okay. People are already tired. I think saying, boss, why can't this guy go at 1 o'clock is the lunchtime? They ordered some lunch, I think. Is something coming?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, now I think then time to say goodbye. Any questions? Any thoughts? Ram, why didn't you ask a question? Anybody on the virtual side?
Question, sir.
Ah, yeah.
So regarding
Sri Lanka.
BC Railroad, sir.
Hmm.
So like sir, initially we started for the vaccination purpose, right? So we started, then we were following up with the vaccine of 100%, and then slowly we were thinking like whether to have DC Live, the vaccine or not. Then we started connecting with the centers, and we thought like, no, we need DNX leader out of 100 DNX leader, they should at least weekly once. But probably there are challenges. Some we're approaching them. Some are ready to come, and some because of the busy schedule, they are not able to do it. So, what is the next thought process? Sir? Because, like, DC Live will look into it.
No, the question is not clear.
And because of the challenges, I'm not able to pull the leaders in, sir, for the live shows or something like to connect.
Oh,
the people
okay, I
on the
got it. So
floor.
you want to make that.
Not able to do
You want to make that mandatory for the leaders.
I'm not saying it's a mandatory one. See, now you have a vision when they talk about the Accountify, this is a vision. When we talk about the Q and Cloud, this is a vision. And generally talking about the team project. So what is DC Live it's like?
No, Shileka, the DC Live vision is not changed at all.
Yes.
We started by accident. Like many things in the organization, it happens in the startup. Once we got past that COVID stage, we clearly, when we discussed last year, we said, this is a unique thing for Basic Group. And notwithstanding the numbers not being there, people who have experienced have come out with positive feedback even today. Right? Now, how do we make this more scalable? I think something with DTech also struggling with. DTech, maybe compared to DTech, this is a little better problem to solve. Because DTech is actually commitment to study, exam, certification, all of that. Please here, that is not the case. Maximum might ask me to sing. That's only 5 minutes. So commitment from team perspective shouldn't be that big a challenge. Now, whether we want all the DNX leaders and everybody in the organization to kind of buy this idea, participate, this is very difficult to mandate. Right? For example, Accountify, we talked about Accountify. We can talk about the ideas, but the team has to work along with Pritesh. They have to take the lead. They have to do every day. Even I went away, go out of his office, they need to sit and figure out, then only things will happen. Same with DC Live team. If you think that ideas have changed, no. It can only grow bigger. It can't be smaller than this, right? Methods have to change. We thought we'll hire somebody from the DJ Boy, which can give us a little boost on the content. So that's one thing we tried. So we probably need to try something else now instead. But the core idea of using this as a platform, especially for HR activities or detach, I think that is not going away at all. And like I said earlier, you guys have to now start thinking for your customers, which is not me, which is not the people here also, people who are listening to our radio every day or every day. So like any other program, you need to come up with something which your clientele will like. So we have decided, let's say movies or songs are getting the maximum, which is fine, right? But that's not the only end point. So we need to work hard, and it's not easy. It has nothing to do with Basic Group's core business, right? But ideas can come anywhere. How to promote an idea, even Dream Team can come up with some thoughts which will help us do it. And we ourselves have seen in events or in some of the events, the viewership will touch 600, 700 also. So it's not that people will not do it, but you can't have an IPL every day. Right? Yeah. So you need to be realistic in terms of what you want to do. But I think the core idea and the vision is not changing. In fact, if you ask me, it can only grow even further. And other thing which DC Live team, since you're asking, I'm telling you, we have now gone to new locations. At least I can list 40 to 50 new places we've gone. But DC Live has not gone, including US. Have you got anybody from US in DC Live? Then I think last time we had some close to 2,000 people coming to the SQ in US. Okay, they didn't join this.
So the thing is like, for example, I came to know about this AI5 Bharat. So Mohinder and Rajan sir. So like Rajan sir was asking for the Hindi people. So then I came to know like this process is getting started. They are doing some field work and all. So immediately I called Mohinder. I told Mohinder, you need different languages, right? So 1,000+ people are there. Why don't you put it on DC Live? We'll make sure that at least leader are aware of it. Anybody from different languages in this. So that he came to DC Live and spent 30 minutes. So my question is like, if something coming new to think or any leaders come to know, we are not, we should not expose a process or a client or at least general requirement. Or
no, it's not requirement alone, Shileka. See, you guys are part of HR, yeah. Right? Nothing will happen without HR's involvement. So they need to figure out if things are happening. A for birth example, I think almost 6-7 months we've been working. All of us are working. We are working on tender. We are working, but how come you guys don't even know this? We are in the same office, right? So this gap has to reduce. You cannot say that Mohinder or Roger have to come and then use DC Live to do something. No, it's the other way around. Whatever is happening in the organization, like I said, US is not no use for DC Live. They may not even probably hear, but they can hear. I don't know. It's because of the URL only, right? Even they can hear us. But there are people, 2,000 plus people who have crossed Desigrow office. So we are not taking advantage. The people we are working, even now somebody is working in US office. Rajan has obviously gone to Maharashtra. So everywhere we've gone live yesterday with some 5 districts. These guys have been doing some work in Karnataka, Oriya. So the scope for DC Live actually, like has already by default, it has become expanded. It has become multilingual also because Tamil will not be known anywhere in that area, right? But DC Live has to change. So instead of saying that Mohinder has to come or these guys have to listen or somebody has to think, it's not going to happen. So the team has to change. It has to adapt. It has to run faster than the organization. Then things will happen. But if you're asking whether we are changing or reducing the scope, the no. Answer is no. Like I said, it is only expanded. Geography is expanded. So we need to also expand our scope. Hi, Shweta. Shweta, there is no additional question since you come in directly. You come for lunch. Very good. Very good idea. Okay. So any other thing? I have to run for another meeting, guys. Anybody else? Now that lunch is there, there's no way I can sustain anybody here. Okay. So thank you very much. Manju, is Manju there?
Yes, sir.
She can say, or who will say?
We'll say, sir. I'll finish from myself.
Okay, if there are no questions, okay, so we'll meet another session soon. If I go to any other center also, you can join like this virtually and ask questions. Okay,
sure, sir.
But I hope action points have been noted. Whatever we discuss, then we'll ensure that it happens. Okay. Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
They already said no.
Somebody said.